Hi, I'm Kevin Yelbasacher with Smithers Oasis and Love You Mom. This is our series celebrating moms everywhere for Mother's Day. In this segment, I'm going to be talking about a couple of our essential containers. This is the rectangle essential, and I've used the square essential. We also have a larger one as well that's a square essential, but I've decided to use these two for this program. They both come in onyx, and in this case, our larger one, the rectangle, holds a brick of Oasis Floral Foam Max Life, in this case Midnight Foam, perfect. The square holds a half a brick or a 5x5 cube that I'm going to be talking about in a second. So let's get started and I'm going to show you. So here's the first one. So for Mother's Day, and again, these might not be typical of what you think of Mother's Day arrangements. They don't have to be round and fluffy, and I've done those in some of the other segments. This is for our little more edgy contemporary mom, someone who wants something a little bit different. So I've used the square container in the essential line, and you can see the foam showing. That's because it's Midnight Floral Foam. Midnight Floral Foam is a Max Life foam. You'll want to make sure that you soak it in water that contains Floral Life flower food because the foam does not contain food. All right, so once it's soaked, in this case, this was a full brick that I cut in half, and you know we score it in thirds, half, and so I cut it in half and just set it into the container. It snugs in there perfectly. I don't need tapes and glues to hold it in there. It's going to hold well. And so once I've got that in there, then I did my vertical design. Started with my middle point, and that was the liatris. Then I came out with the next column, and that was going to be the larkspur. Then a little more liatris stock, the tulips. And isn't it nice how the tulips cooperated and grew straight up for me instead of doing something strange? I like that. Then I came in with the purple carnations and the magenta carnations down low. And again, you can see, if you can see a lot of the foam showing. It doesn't matter, it's supposed to show. That's the new trend in design, using the Midnight Floral Foam. So where do I go from there? Then where I can go is using one of the 5x5 Midnight Foam cubes. So this gives me, whereas this is just about that high above the lip of the container, this is going to be much taller, so I can do something different. And I did this design for you. And in this design, the difference between the two of these is this design was done where it's the square, the front of the container. Actually, there isn't so much a front in this round arrangement, but the front of the container, you see the flat edge. In this arrangement, you actually see the point of the container. That would be the front of the container, was my intent. And so I used the cube, the 5x5 cube, Midnight Foam, soaked it, and you can see how rich and dark it gets, that real rich black color. Put that in there. Again, it's setting in there nicely. It doesn't snug in there like a half a brick of foam, but it sets in there well. If you're worried about it, put it in pan glue, put it into the container, and then soak the container and the foam at the same time. That'll hold it in well for you, rather than tapes that are going to show and you're going to have to hide those. Then I came in, again, vertical design, horizontal design, kept everything grouped, which I think we've been doing that long enough now that that's just, expected. So the carnations are grouped, the tulips are grouped, and then a little bit of wax flower down below and the Xanadu leaves. Great line with these liatris, and very simple. And then to pull back, those of you that haven't been using Midnight Foam, you pull back, you stop, because you want to keep adding flowers to hide the foam. Well, if I don't have the right dollar value, I need to stop. You just stop, let the foam show, and that's something that we really are doing more and more of. And you can see that, you can see all that beautiful dark foam showing. Okay, now, where do I go from there? Where I go is I take it even further. So those were the square essentials, and this is the rectangle, the bigger one that I showed you to begin with. So this is using a full brick of Midnight Floral Foam, and put that in the container. It's sitting in there nice and snug, and then did some of the vertical, the parallel design. Parallel design's been around for decades now, but we still do it. It's still a beautiful look. It can be done one-sided, it can be done two-sided, whatever the design calls for. We can soften the line with foliages, with other filler flowers. So you can see I've kept in my same color palette, all of those violets and red violets moving into the, the bluer violets. And the foam is showing, just came down, kept my groups together, which is part of parallel designing. And you can see how, again, you may have a mom that would just absolutely love this design. You may have a mom that would like something that's much more traditional in different colors. But you want to show that you can do them. You want to show that you can offer these types of designs. The last one I'm going to show you is also done in a rectangle, but it's more of a centerpiece for Mother's Day, and that is this one here. So here is my Mother's Day centerpiece done in the blues and the lavenders, and you can see the way I started, it's actually a full brick of foam, and I took about a quarter of a bunch of bear grass, and I just pushed that right down and into the foam, and that gave me this great fountain that comes out of the design. And then kept everything grouped. Again, very similar, but each thing just expands on the next one. The stock, the carnations, the roses, and just filled it very, very nicely. So I do have a little more floral material in here. There's not as much midnight foam showing as in the other ones, but you can still definitely see it. But you see the drama that it creates. And again, Mom's gonna love this. So, as with any of the designs that you've done, you wanna finish them off with something like finishing touch. If you use Crowning Glory, that's fine. But make sure that whichever one you do use, you want to let it dry thoroughly before it goes into the cooler. If you're using finishing touch, just mist it on lightly. Don't soak it. Let the flowers absorb it, and then they're going to last that much longer for our customer, and that's really what we're after. So that concludes this series, and I hope you like the Midnight Foam, our little more contemporary edge to Mother's Day designs. And I'm Kevin Yolvasacher here with Smithers Oasis.